Hi, and welcome to Supply Chain Today. Here we discuss the latest hot topics in supply chain and global trade with experts from all around the world. And today we have a special guest with us, Shruti Ram. Shruti Ram is currently working as SAP TM functional consultant here at Krypt. She has worked on projects on food and chemical industries, and her expertise is in TM charge management and settlement process. It's an amazing opportunity to have Shruti with us. Shruti, how are you doing?
Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. And today's topic for discussion is warehouse billing. And on this topic, we have some questions submitted to us by our listeners, and I hope that they'll find this episode insightful. So, before I get to the questions, I would like to remind all our listeners that you can submit your questions by clicking the link that is found in the description. And with no more delay, let's get started. So, what is warehouse billing?
Yeah, so in warehouses, various activities and services are performed. These activities and services will be quantified, right? So it is important to be able to measure these activities and be able to bill or pay the respective business partners. Warehouse billing is all about how you can keep track of the services performed, how to measure them, report them, and finally how to bill or pay to these respective business partners.
Okay, so which companies typically use warehouse billing?
Warehouse billing is applicable mostly for 3PL scenarios, where a company is basically handling warehouse services for customers and might want to bill the customers for the value added services they perform, or they can pay carriers for the services they take from them. So it's mostly for 3PL scenario and not really applicable for shipper scenarios.
Okay. How does the solution work at a high level?
Yeah, so Ben, SAP TM's forwarding and freight settlement solution is heavily used in conjunction with SAP EWM to handle this scenario. You would maintain the agreement with customer or vendor in SAP TM and sync them up with EWM. But the services are performed and captured in SAP EWM, then sent back to SAP TM. Then what happens is in TM, the forwarding order or service order gets created, where forwarding order is basically for customers and service orders in cases of vendors. Then the charges are calculated using the agreements housed in TM. And the last step is to create a forwarding settlement in case of customer scenario and send it across to ERP side for creating a billing document. On the vendor side, it's the similar process, but we will create freight settlement documents instead of forwarding settlement document and finally create service PO or service entry sheets on the ERP side.
Perfect. So can we have multiple services assigned to the same agreement, like having both sort storing service and packaging service under the same agreement?
Yeah, that's a good question. We can have services like weight and say handling unit assigned to the agreement. This means storing charges are calculated based on weight and the packaging services would be based on the handling unit. These services are then assigned to relevant charge types, which will be pulled into forwarding orders or forward freight orders during charge calculation in TM. After the agreement creation, when the agreement is released, it is sent to EWM system, which can be seen in the warehouse monitor as well in EWM.
All right. So do we require SAP TM license along with EWM for this scenario?
Well, if you already have an EWM license, then no need to purchase a separate one for SAP TM. SAP TM can be installed in the same box, but access to TM will be quite restricted. You will have access to TM components that are relevant only for this warehouse billing scenario, like the agreements, the forwarding agreement or the freight agreement. Then we have execution documents, freight orders, service orders. So very restrictive access to TM components, but you won't be able to plan demand and you would require TM license for that.
All right. So this is the last question for our episode today. So can you summarize the benefits?
Yeah, there are a few. Since billing in SAP is done completely based on actuals data, thus it would produce accurate warehouse billing as well. And also the process is automated completely through a very systematic process.
All right. So this is the end of the podcast episode. Thank you so much for your insightful episode with us today, Shruti. Appreciate all of your efforts.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you for having me. It was great fun.
Thank you. Again, I would like to remind all our listeners today that you can be part of this podcast by submitting your questions when you click on the link that is available in the description. At the same time, if you want to know more about warehouse billing and if you would like to ask more questions, you could submit your questions again in from the link that is available in the description. Again, thank you for joining. This is Supply Chain Today. Cheers.